All right, what's going on, guys? Dr. Stone, episode 12, buddies back to back. Let's do it. All right, so in this episode, we got a lot going on. And I will say, just to start things off, I didn't hate this episode, nor did I dislike it. I could even go as far to say that I maybe enjoyed it a little bit. But let's get into that as we go into the specifics of the episode. So in this episode, Senku creates the silver spear and he gives it to Ginro. Ginro's losing his shit, of course. He's all happy because he's got his silver spear and Ginro has got no golden spear. So he's like, look at this shit. But it turns out that that shit isn't his for long, because Senku made it for the sole purpose of going to a sulfur pit, a sulfuric acid pit, to test whether or not it would be poisonous to humans. So apparently the silver on the end of the spear reacts to the, was it hydrogen sulfide, I believe it was? Yeah, I believe it was hydrogen sulfide. And once the spear turns black, you know it's time to get the fuck out of there, because you're gonna die. But anyway, so they go to the sulfuric acid pit. It kind of looks like a little body of water in this little crater. And then you see the blue, and then you see some green as well. The green is what they want. That's the sulfuric acid. They need that because, remember, they're building they're forming the sulfa drug for Kohawk's sister, Ruri, because she's still sick, and if she passes away, then Kohawk's gonna be the priestess of the village, which she doesn't want. And of course, she doesn't want her sister to pass away either. So, you know, that's a win-win for her, and a win-win for everyone, because then Senku can build trust with the villagers, and the villagers will probably help him out, especially with the upcoming battle with Shishio. So, you know, it's a good thing for everybody. So they get to the sulfuric acid pit. Ginro starts hallucinating a bit, and he sees this beautiful lady inside the sulfuric acid pit, and he's just kind of walking right towards her in a daze, not really thinking. He's got a boner and all, and he's like, I'm not gonna think, this just seems like a good idea. Unfortunately, his boner led him astray, and and the tip of the spear is turning black, which means he's got to get the fuck out of there. So Senku and the gang pull him out right before he dies, and they're like, shit, we can't collect this sulfuric acid. We're gonna have to build some gas masks first so we can get close enough to collect the sulfuric acid, which will allow us to build the sulfa drug, which will save Kohawk's sister, and then we can finally fight Shishio. And then maybe we'll get back to releasing everyone from the stone structures. So they build the gas mask, and they get to the point where Senku and Chrome are having a conversation. It's late at night, and Senku basically tells Chrome, look, you're not going to the sulfuric acid pit with me. You're the only other man of science in this village, and the world needs science to progress. If I die and you're with me, no one else will know how to do science, and all of my knowledge will be gone forever. So I'm going to teach you 2 million years of knowledge like that. So listen up, buddy. I don't know how he was planning on teaching 2 million years worth of knowledge just like that. But eventually Chrome says, look, dude, we're a fucking team. Don't act like a fucking hero and just let me hang out to dry. I'm coming with your ass, Die Hard style. And if we perish, we perish. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna get that sulfuric acid. We're gonna complete our mission. So after this, Kohawk was listening in on the conversation. She was up in a tree, and she basically has a heart-to-heart with Chrome. And I feel like this was a very good part of the episode. I feel like their connection here and their conversation was very enlightening. And especially with the pass back with Chrome and Ruri, who he has a crush on, it gave you a little insights on who Chrome is and, you know, a little bit more into his personality. You know, he's a tough-minded individual. He's not going to let others tell him what to do. and he's gonna believe what he wants to believe, and he's gonna stand up for those beliefs. So I mean, you know, in that regard, he's an interesting character, and he's someone worth cheering for. So I would say, you know, Chrome came off as very likable in this episode. They kind of bring up the fact that Taiju and Yuzuraha are infiltrating Shishio's clan there. They're basically acting as spies to gather intel on Shishio. And I was thinking to myself, God damn, how many episodes has it been since we've seen those two? I mean, I thought by this point, maybe we would get like a little bit of insight as to their plan and like how things are going, but we keep going forward with Senku's story. It's like we don't get any sort of breaks in between where we go back to Taiju and Yuzuraha or see what Shishio's plans are, like what he's thinking right now. The only time we saw Shishio since like they all disbanded was he was sitting in a freaking chair surrounded by a bunch of minions. It's like his character development is totally lacking. He's just a typical tropey villain at this point who's bent on world domination and singular focused and no sort of personality. So that's the bad, but the fact that we got some interesting character developments on Chrome, I think outweigh it for at least this one episode. The series as a whole is still relatively bad, but I will say for this episode it was passable. You know, if you get more episodes like this, maybe if they tone down Senku's edginess, and maybe if they do things in a more realistic fashion, I could see myself enjoying this, but I feel like 12 episodes in, it is what it is. If we get 1 out of 12 that's pretty decent, I think we'll take it. So the episode ends with Senku and Chrome in the sulfuric acid pit. One of Senku's tubes springs a leak, so the gas is starting to infiltrate his tubing system, but he wraps it up with a bandage, and right when that's happening, Chrome loses his footing and he starts to fall backwards into the sulfuric acid pit. And this has got to be the longest sequence of the episode, and it probably happens in the span of maybe like 2 or 3 seconds. As Chrome's kind of like, well, this is the end, there's nothing you can do, Ginro shows up magically at the last moment. You gotta love that plot armor that prevents the main characters from dying. And he saves Ginro and he pulls him back to the safe ledge. And they got their sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid acquired. So now they can start tossing it in people's eyes and burning Shishio. Or making an antibiotic, whatever. But yeah, that's about it on this episode. It was a decent episode, guys. It wasn't too bad. Maybe they'll continue that trend in the future. Who knows? Maybe I'll actually start enjoying this series at some point. Anything's possible, but I severely doubt it. You know, you gotta make up for 11 bad episodes, and I think it's just a little bit too late at this point. But who knows? We'll see. I'll leave it there for now, and I'll catch you on the flip side.